What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel for part 2 of my Traxxas TRX4MT Bigfoot build. If y'all hadn't seen the first part, I'll leave a link up above for that. It was basically just me unboxing, going over all the parts I'm going to put on this thing today, and doing a little quick speed and test run out there. Now, the speed, of course, is probably everybody knows if you're familiar with these little things. If you're not familiar with them, the speed on this was pretty pitiful. It was actually 4 mile an hour stock out of the box. So obviously 4 mile an hour ain't gonna cut it for a monster truck. It couldn't even do no wheelies, jumps, or anything. So we're gonna fix that problem today, hopefully, with all this stuff we got. Again, I went over everything I'm putting on it here separately in that first video. I'll go over them real quick, or actually we'll unbag them and unbox them and all as we go here. Now, I do have quite a few things I'm installing today. I've got them separated basically into appearance stuff here. This is mostly chassis and links and stuff like that. And then over here, I've got my powertrain and gearing and stuff. I've also got a full set of bearings I'm gonna put in while I'm at it too. So this is gonna be right much wrenching and probably take a little while. So I don't want to get too detailed and take too long. I know some of the brand new people might want to see more detail. So I'll try to show what I think is kind of relevant. So let's get these wheels and tires out of the way first. As y'all can see, I'm really needing me a nice RC pit mat, some kind of rubber mat, and some kind of little stand here. For now, we're working with this. One thing I do want to show you right quick is I mentioned yesterday the MT version of these come with this little adapter for your wheel nuts, which is really good because you got deep dish wheels that fits in the little old four-way they give you. So no problem here. As you can see, you can get right down in there. Without it, you can't. I really wished I mentioned yesterday that I wish they would have included that with this high trail. It doesn't really matter if you've got some other kind of wrench, which a lot of people into the hobby will, but if you're starting out new, you won't. So it didn't come with that adapter, and the actual one to fit is on the side here. So even with this high trail, it's dished enough to where I'm not on the wheel nut right there. You kind of have to squish down on the tire like that, and then you can get on the wheel nut. So it would have been nice of them to include that little adapter with this also. But I've got this little handy dandy little wheel nut wrench here. So let's get these wheels off right quick. All right, we got those big chunks out of the way. So I think my game plan here is I'm gonna do the suspension stuff first, and then we'll do the motor and all last. I'll have to do the gearing as I go. Some of it I'll probably just have to do as I go, but I'm gonna get some of this simple stuff off. Again, I'm not going to get real detailed. The first stuff to come off is what you see on the top here, the ECM, your little battery tray, stuff right here on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way. Very self-explanatory here. I think everything on here is a 1.5 millimeter as far as your hex size. Just a couple of screws in each spot. All right, so 4 screws have got me to this point so far. The ECM's out and my battery tray's out. And then you've got 4 screws to get your motor and trans pulled out right down on the bottom, very visible. All right, so those 4 screws are out on my motor and trans mount. You just pull it right out the top, and then your drive shaft ends will slide out. This little square down on the bottom is actually part of the trans there. So you can see, you can just pop it right out, and then your drive shaft ends will slide right out of there. So I'm gonna set this aside for now because we've got to change out to the speed gears in here, and then of course put our motor on. I'm keeping all the screws with each kind of section I pull out because this is really the first complete tear down I've done on one of these. I don't want to get all my screws mixed up. I'm not sure exactly how many different links and all there are. All right, from here, what I think I'm gonna do, I don't know how people normally do this and what's the easiest way, but I'm gonna go ahead and take both of my 4 links out from the chassis here, and then both of my top shock towers, and that should pull my chunk off on my front and back because I've got to do a complete tear down. Basically, like I say, I've got to change everything. So we'll go from side to side on it. I'll do all 4 over here, and again, I'm gonna put these back after I get the links loose, just so I know where they go, and so my little plate there holds it together. All right, just a really quick look here at what I did. Again, I'm going side to side. I took these 4 off for the links, and then these 4 off for the shocks. And as you can see, I just barely threaded these back in so I know where they're at. So I'll do the same thing on this side, and then that should have our front and rear sections separated. All right, we got our sections all separated, so you can see I'm basically just left with the 2 frame rails, my shock towers, and my little skid plate there in the bumper. So put this to the side here, and then I'm left with my front and rear section here. This is the rear. It's got the longer shaft, no servo on it right now. I believe both of the axles are exactly the same as far as I can tell. Once, of course, you get the knuckles on this one, and well, actually, Actually, they may not be because that's one piece. I don't know. So don't take what I'm saying as gospel. I'm not sure if they're both the same. I think they are though once I see these screws. I think I was right. I believe both of the axles are the same. It just depends on what kind of attachments obviously are on them. So let's start with this rear one here. I've got to change links, my drive shaft here, the bearings inside. I'm going to go ahead and put the skid plate on here too. I'll show y'all a couple skid plates, my wheel nuts, and then again the bearings on the wheels there. So here's the links I went with. Just some off-brand Gotheel. They're blue anodized, so should be very, very sharp looking. Looks like they sent us some more screws, which we shouldn't need. I'm assuming they're just like the OEM ones. And then the links, nice and light. It looks like it should weigh something, but obviously it's aluminum. Now, one thing I was reading in the reviews, and let's see if this is correct. They're saying that they got the wording backwards on one of them. They're talking about how they've got printing on the outside of them, which honestly I wish they didn't, and you can't reverse them. You could reverse all of them except these, but as you can see, those are bent in different directions there. I'm assuming that's the ones that clear the servo there, so you kind of pretty much have to have this white writing to the outside. It's got the length and it's got their brand name on it. I really wish you could reverse these. Not a huge deal, but it is what it is. But other than that, these things are very, very nice looking, really nice blue anodizing color, and they've got the steel pivot balls in them already. So these stock links, I didn't even know this, but I'm pretty sure these are plastic pivot balls in the stock links. I don't think I mentioned either that these are the high clearance versions. You can see they're bent there. So they're high clearance. These are the high trail too. The MT and the high trail versions use the same link set. But these are obviously very simple. You've got one screw in the top holding the top two links and then one for each of the bottoms. Now, of course, y'all know the high clearance here, you're going to take, those are going to be your bottom links, the ones with the bend, and then the bend part goes closest down here to your axle. All right, I got the rear four links mounted up, really, really sharp looking. I really like that blue anodized color. I went ahead and pulled these wheel hexes off too. These are very, very simple. I don't figure y'all need an explanation. They got the little pin that goes through there on your axle, and then of course the pin goes in the slot for your hex and just slides over it. So it looks like we've got a couple of screws on each end of the axle retaining the bearing and the axle itself, and then you've got four screws back here on the back side of the diff. So I'm gonna pull this diff. Oh, actually you got this right here too. Got the little set screw on the drive shaft yoke there. So I'm gonna pull that off and pull this diff cover off so we can see what it looks like inside there. All right, I got our diff opened up here. As you can see, a couple of the bushings there. There's a couple of the bushings that we're gonna be replacing with bearings. That's why I got that bearing kit, because there's no bearings. It's all bushings. And then you've got a bushing, of course, there on each end. So bushing on each end, and then you got a bushing there on the front on the pinion gear there. So I'm assuming these axles are just going to pull right out the sides. Yeah, and they did. So as you can see there, they should be both the same on each side. Yeah, both the same on each side. So as you can see, they just pulled right out. And then I'm guessing from there, the ring gear should pull right out. And yeah, it absolutely did. So there's your ring gear, plastic. So that's the reason I got steel gears to replace this. And then of course from there, turning around to the other side, your pinion gear should just poke right on out there. All right, let me show you what we're going back with. So I'm gonna leave the stock gearing. I'm gonna do the 1224 gearing on the ring and pinion. I've got an overdrive 1222, but I don't think I'll need all that wheel speed, and I don't really want to cut down too much on my low end torque, and I'm not sure how much low end torque this brushless is gonna have, so I may end up having to switch this out, but for now I'm gonna stick with this. This is 1224 again. Fry Hobby is these are steel helical cut. Now I do have the Traxxas stock ones too, 1224, but these are old pop metal looking stuff here. I got these before I saw these, so I'm gonna put these in it. Plus these already came with some bearings, so we'll have some extra bearings. And speaking of bearings, I had to go ahead and break into the Injora kit, because this is where we're first going to need that for these outer axle bearings. And big shout out to Injora. I mean, they sent a whole entire bearing schematic with their bearing kit, and they're bagged separately, so it shows you what you got, and it's got that kit. So very, very nice right there. All right, I got our bearings put into place. I got the two here for the pinion, one in the front and the back, and then I got them on the ring, and then one on each axle shaft. You can see I'm gonna go ahead and put the pinion in here, and then I'll put a little grease on it. So as you can see there, pinion in there. I'm a big fan of white lithium grease for pretty much anything. As far as RCs, it's real low drag, real slick stuff. So even if it's not plastic, I still use this white lithium when it comes to just gear on gear. So then as far as your ring gear, gear, it simply just drops down there into place. You got two little carriers there for the bearings. And then the axle shafts, of course, just slide in just like they slid out. I'm gonna go ahead and put my little retaining screws on this side so it don't want to slide out on me. All right, one side in, and then of course we just slide the other one in, same way. It's got a flat on the end there. That's why you have to kind of spin it and find that little flat to key it in there. Just like that, it drops on in. All right, we got them all back in, both the axle shafts, all our retaining screws and everything back. Really nice and smooth on this thing too. Compared to the front, definitely a difference. I mean, this is like draggy when I turn it. This, when I turn it, it wants to just zip on around. Nice and smooth. So let's stick the cover back on and then we'll move along. I actually almost forgot while I'm putting these diff screws back in, the diff cover screws, I'm gonna put the skid plates on. I'm actually gonna use this Injora kind right here. I've got these on my Defender right here. I really like these from Traxxas right here. And it comes up nicely over the front of the diff, so it makes the pumpkin there have that nice chromed out look. The thing about this though is it's already got the chrome pumpkin, so I think I'll put these from Injora. These are kind of neat looking. It looks like they kind of cover the axle a little bit. All right, we got that skid plate on. I will have to say, I think I like the Traxxas ones better. These are fine, but they don't hug it as quite as tight, so you lose a little bit more clearance, just a tiny bit. And plus the Traxxas one comes up over the front like a really nice billet looking silver color on it. But these are just fine. I'm not gonna be doing any rock crawling with this, so the little bit of clearance loss isn't gonna matter. And then the last thing to add on to this rear section is the drive shaft. I've got the stainless steel drive shaft from Injora for the front and back, of course. Now these are for the high trail also, the same ones again that fit the high trail, fit the MT. This is just simply a matter of putting it back on there like we pulled the other one off and putting the set screw in. I am going to put me a little bit of blue Loctite, I believe, on this set screw. And there we go with our rear section completed, the stainless steel drive shaft and our aluminum links, got the skid plate and our gearing upgrades, of course. So looking really, really sharp right here and should be performing a whole lot better. So let's move on to the front. All right, the front's gonna be very, very similar and some different things at the same time. Obviously our links and our drive shaft and internal gears and all that's gonna be the same, but then we got our servo to deal with here, which the mount here is using the same point that the top two links are. So I'll pull that off. I'll pull our steering link here from the knuckles. We'll have to deal with the knuckles and all taking them off, but let me get this servo and steering stuff out of the way first. All right, quick look at what I've done so far. So I pulled the servo. It was sitting there in the mount like that with the horn down. And then of course you cross your steering link was sitting right there. So just 3 screws in that steering link, and then there were 2 screws mounting this servo, as you can see, to the top of that mount, just like that. And then the 1 screw going through the bottom right here, this long screw that held the links and then secures everything down there. And it looks like it's kind of swiveling on these 2 little things. It's just pretty much in there with pressure. Let's see if I can pop it out without breaking something. I don't know what the purpose of that is. So, and there you go. There's the stock plastic servo mount unmounted. So then it looks like we've got 2 screws, one top and bottom on both of the steering knuckles here that's got to get removed. All right, those 2 screws from each knuckle are out, and then it just pulls right on out. And now that I'm seeing that pull right on out, it may be the case that I didn't have to take those screws out of the rear. I don't know if they're capturing those bearings. It looks really, really close. So I don't know if I had to take these screws out or not. So then from here, it's the same thing that I just did. The 4 screws here to take your diff cover off, and then I'll change the ring and pinion in there. Obviously I'll take this little stub off, so I'm not going to show y'all all that again. It's going to be the same bushings that get replaced by bearings. Once I get this back together, I'll show you what we need to do with the knuckles to replace the bearings. All right, I got us to the point where there's something a little different to show you here. I got all the links on, as you can see, the stainless drive shaft again, the skid plate on the front. I actually had to change the skid plate. The one I put on the back was for the front. It had to, or the one I put on the back was this one right here. Had the short arms. This one on the back's got the longer arms because it covers up more of the axle. And as you can see, I went ahead and mounted this aluminum servo mount. That's what I got for an upgrade here. Samix brand, blue aluminum anodized. So got that on, and again, I got all the links. So as far as the servo, I'm gonna change the horn here in that link. I think I showed y'all, I did on the last video. I got this Traxxas performance part. It's got the blue anodized steering link with the new metal horn. So I'm gonna switch those on and mount the servo back on. That's just simply a matter of taking this horn off, putting the new horn back on. All right, here's the link in the horn. It come with some different screws. It come with a little shouldered screw to use for the middle where the stock one just had threaded all the way down. It also come with 2 little spacers that it's saying goes on the bottom. I'll show you here. It's saying these go if I'm looking at these arrows and stuff right, it looks like these go up on the bottom before you put the screws in. All right, servo's mounted back up, simple, just 2 screws there. Now they did send you some shorter screws because obviously you're losing that little chunk of plastic here from the servo mount. Y'all can see it, yeah, you can see that. So you need a little bit shorter screw and the shorter screws for this aluminum plate here. So let me put the axles back on before I put that link. I'm gonna go ahead and switch these bushings out. That's just very simple. I'm gonna do that off camera. You can see it pulls right out and then you got 2 bushings. All right, as far as the transmission, all you got is 4 screws right there to get into it. Now again, I'm putting the steel speed gearing in it, the 9.7 to 1. So got all the steel gears here and it's got the bearings in it too. So we got some extra bearings out of the kit. Let me get it opened up and we'll take a look inside. All right, I got it opened up. Obviously there's 3 of our bearings and then there's gonna be 3 on the other plate back there behind the gears. There's your gears. As far as putting these in, they're pretty self-explanatory. There's the main one and then the other 2 big ones. And then you got this little one. I'm assuming it's gonna slide over the new pin right here. So let me get these pulled off and then we'll get the screws and take the motor off. All right, there you are with the gears removed, looking at the other back plate. And there's your pinion for your motor. You can see the 2 screws right there to take the motor off. All right, gears and motor removed from both sides of the housing. I went ahead and put the bearings in both of them so I didn't forget since I was looking at them. And now's the point where we're gonna have to put this motor in here too. So again, if y'all didn't watch that first episode, we're upgrading to TRX4M brushless power system. So it's got the brushless ECM and the outrunner motor, I believe they call these things, the ones that the actual housing kind of spins on it. So here you got the new brushless ECM and the little brushless outrunner motor there. It also comes with, you have to use this mounting plate on the back of your transmission housing. So it's got that mounting plate. So what you do with this plate is you put it on the back here, mount it like that with the 2 little cut out looking sections up and down, and then you just come in from the inside like the stock motor was. All right, I got the mount and the motor mounted up to the back plate here. Just a reminder or a tip maybe even, don't be like me. Make sure you mount the motor plate to this motor first, because once you mount the motor plate, obviously you can't get the doggone thing onto the motor. I mounted it with this coming off from the same side as the stock motor did, so hopefully that's going to be good enough. Look at the difference in the size. I mean, this is way more powerful and just such a much smaller size. All right, let's see if I can manage to get these gears back in. Now, we'll start just by putting our little pins in here. All right, I believe this one with the little stub goes here, so it's not touching our pinion. And then this one here should go, actually, that's got to go on first because that's got to touch the pinion. So let's get that back out. All right, we got that one in. So that's the one that interacts with the pinion down there. I'm gonna put me some grease in here too. All right, so then from there, this one obviously goes in next, and that lines up with that gear. And then last should be your input gear sliding right into here. And I believe we're back in business again. I don't know what this little pinion looking gear is for. I'll do some looking. Actually, maybe I better go look before I button this thing up and just make sure I don't need it. All right, I got it all buttoned up and put my axle stubs back on there. This little piece of thing here, this little gear here, I think that is just an extra pinion, because I looked, and even on the extra Traxxas set I have here for the trail gears even, this isn't even speed, this is trail, and it actually came with an extra pinion. So I'm assuming that's just an extra pinion that it came with. So now I basically just got to do the same thing I did at the very beginning with these screws on each side, putting the front and back pieces back on. All right, one step further from being back together. As you can see, we got the both front and rear sections back on, looking really, really nice. No kind of binding or anything. I mean, those blue links look very, very sharp on there. So now the ECM goes right back in the stock mounting location. Same with the trans and motor, and same with the battery plate. And then I think the last thing I've got to add as far as performance wise are these brass wheel hexes, extended hexes. Try to keep it from rolling over quite as much, so hopefully that'll help. It's got a few extra little pieces, I guess some extenders here, because these wheel hexes are so wide. So let's find out what's going on. All right, we got all 4 wheels and tires back on. Everything looks all right. I guess these will be fine. It definitely gave it some extension, which I'm glad about, because it still looks plenty like a monster truck. I mean, it's not sticking out really ridiculously far. Even here, if I put the body on, you can see, I mean, I think that's still got a perfect width for a monster truck, not too wide at all. Hopefully though, it don't cause any extra stress, and these wheel nuts hold up okay. One thing's definitely for sure, all of that nice aluminum and stainless steel stuff in the suspension looks really sharp. So next we're gonna work on the body and get it looking nice, but before I do that, I want to just do a little test run and make sure all this stuff does work. Wouldn't that be something if I got all this installed and got out there and it didn't work? Definitely more wheel speed, without a doubt. Be curious to see what that equates to out in the field. So let's finish getting this body fixed up and then we'll take it out there and get some speed runs. All right, let's see if we can get this body looking a little more fancy and more like Bigfoot and some lights and stuff on it. So I've got the Pro Scale light kit. Obviously that replaces just the headlights with headlights, running lights, tail lights, and reverse lights, and hazard lights if you cut it off. So nice light kit. And I've got a replacement roll bar that's already got the LEDs in it. So we'll start right there, I think. And then to really turn it on into Bigfoot, I've got the old style grill, the old style intake and carburetor, and then the Bigfoot stickers. All right, I got all this stuff unpacked. We got us a couple wiring harnesses here. Here's the main one for the Pro Scale light kit for the front and rear, and then here's the roll bar, and you got a little Y harness for that. So the first thing we got to do is take the existing stuff out. You got to take the front two headlight buckets out, and you got to take the two rear tail lights out, and then this wiring harness. Oddly enough, so far every single thing on here has been a 1.5 millimeter hex, except for the servo horn, and now these top two screws in the headlight buckets are also 2 millimeter. All right, we got the stock front headlights out and the wiring harness. I'm gonna go ahead and put these new front buckets in before I take the rear ones out, just because these lenses are awful loose in there and I don't want them falling out, getting lost. I actually just realized I was getting ready to do something that I was gonna have to undo again. I've got to do this grill first because the screws are going through where I have to mount my light buckets. All right, we got the front ones in and the new Bigfoot grill, as you can see. Definitely a much different look there, so I think that's going to look really, really good when we're done. So let's get these two back ones out and put the new ones there. All right, we got the rear ones in. I'm going to do some cable ties and tie this up, but first let's do the roll bar. So we got to take the old one off with these 4 screws right here. All right, for the roll bar, you've got to make a little hole there in your bed right there for the wiring harness to go through. It's comes with a little picture showing you where to put it. It tells you to drill a little 1/4-inch hole right there. So just kind of figure out where you think that wire is going to go through and make you a little hole with a body reamer. All right, I got that done. Be careful. I got really close right there. Make sure you give yourself enough room. That right there is the bare minimum for that little plug to go through there. And there you go with that lighted roll bar installed. Now you can see you do have a hole down there in the bed, but there's really no way around that. You can't put the hole right under the roll bar because obviously you've got to have that mounting screw, but you can't really notice it. It's not really big at all. And then up underneath here, there's a little pigtail that came through. You hook it here to this white one. And then with the splitter here, you plug the existing light kit into this, and then obviously that goes to your ECM. And there it is, all buttoned up with some cable management, looking really nice and clean. They did a great job on these bodies with being able to add the light kits and make it look clean. They put your little points for your zip ties and everything, so really, really nice looking. So we got to do us a little test of them right quick. So this, you can plug it into either one of the little light things on the receiver here, so we'll plug that in. All right, check these things out, y'all. That looks really, really cool. You got the headlights, the running lights on the front, you got your roll bar lights on the back, you got the tail lights, and then if you give it gas on the back and then do the brake, well, that was reverse. Give it some gas, brake, you got brake lights you can see there. Again, you get reverse lights. And then if you turn the transmitter off, really cool, you get hazards. Actually, you get the hazards and you keep the roll bar lights. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know you kept the roll bar lights when you turned it off and got the hazards. So really cool light kit right here. All right, y'all, I almost got ahead of myself and started doing a little body kit and stickers without turning the camera on. So I've already taken the little stock supercharger setup off. This is a 2-piece deal with the 2 carbs and air cleaners. You can see it's mounted on the bottom of this supercharger, and I'm saying that for a reason. When you take that off, it's only got one that's got a little plastic tab there on the back, and then you've got 1 screw, and then you can see you got 2 holes. Where this old setup has only got 1 tab, and then you got 2 big square openings. You've got 2 old style carbs here. So with these, you actually use that 1 tab, and then you'll have that hole in the back that comes through that back square, and you're going to have to make a hole in that front to line up with that front square, because on this one it's not a 2-piece design. These air cleaners fit on the top here, but you can see the screw has to go all the way from the underside of the hood, go through that opening, and then secure it with the air cleaners. Now you can actually go to Traxxas's site and download a little template to tape on here to locate that other hole, but the easiest way here is included in your sticker kit. I already peeled the one off that was on here under this big supercharger. There's a big black sticker up under the supercharger to kind of make it look like you got some depth, you know, going down into the hood. And your sticker kit, your Bigfoot kit, comes with them for this new setup. That's what this little black piece is here. The long black piece. They actually give you two of them for whatever reason. This one's got the little black piece, and then these small pieces, if anybody's wondering, these little small 4 squares here, 2 of those are throttle linkages, and then 2 of them are fuel lines. So those go on the sides. The fuel lines go on one side, the throttle linkages go on the other side. So that's those. This right here, of course, is for your air cleaner, wraps around the side of your air cleaner. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and go through all this real quick, and then we can, and then I'll do this off camera, because this takes a little bit of patience, and I don't want to do this on camera and mess it up. So anyway, to finish what I was talking about with the using this for a template, you can see you got 2 of them, so if you mess it up, it's no big deal. Just go ahead and line these 2 holes up here, the big ones, as you can see. Just go ahead and put this sticker on there. Go ahead and line it up, get it straight, put the sticker, and it's already die cut for that other hole, so you don't have to worry about locating it. Just take your body reamer or whatever and make your hole there. So as far as where the rest of them go, obviously this goes on your chassis plates, and I hope you can see, I'm gonna try to get a glare enough where you can see all this stuff looks to be die cut, and these are one piece, so it shouldn't be no big deal at all. These right here, I'll go over where they're supposed to go, because a few of them I was kind of confused on. Some of this stuff you're not going to use. Some of it is just a replacement for the factory stuff that's already on there. Like this whole sheet right here you won't use. The Ford, that's obviously the Ford on the back tailgate. These 2 chrome pieces right here, those are actually what goes inside the stock headlight buckets to help them reflect. These other 2 little chrome pieces right here, that's for your side view mirrors if you need to replace those. Obviously that's your side reflectors and your side turn lights and stuff. So you don't use any of that because that's already on the truck. Same with your window trim here. All that rear trim's already on, and the 2 little side vented window trims that you can see they're already on. But as far as the rest of these, your 2 Bigfoots right here, the original monster truck, those go on each door. This smaller Bigfoot right here goes on the hood, so you'll have to take this Ford off and replace it with that smaller Bigfoot. Your Bigfoot license plate, if you want to use that, obviously goes on your bumper back there. It's got one that says TRX4MT, but if you want to take that off and put the Bigfoot. The 2 little KC highlighters, those go on the front bumper. Just kind of have to center it somewhere or put it where you like it to look best, because there's no really outline or markings where to put those. These 2 little mini Bigfoots, one goes on each side right here on the front part of your bedside. The 2 Firestones, those I believe go right up here on the bed, right here on the top side. I'll have to make sure of that. The 2 little Summits, I see most of those as far as the Traxxas right here on the front fender. I've seen some older Bigfoots with it back here with this other sticker, which is right here, this Ford Ranger XLT sticker that's got this Traxxas hooked to it. That's what goes back here as far as Traxxas. But again, this Summit I'm seeing up here on the front fender, so that's where I'm gonna put it. Although I have seen it again back here on some of the older Bigfoot pictures. And then these 2 little tiny Powered by Ford stickers, those I'm seeing putting up here in this little tiny spot right here just behind the grill. Then you got a windshield banner here. It's got the little footprints with the Bigfoot going across it. Obviously that goes across on the top of your windshield. And then the one left that I could not figure out what in the world it was, it's this big old black and gray piece. I looked at it and you can see it's die cut, so you got some little indentions on both the top and the bottom. I looked all over, looked like something maybe would go around the roll bar, but it looked just like a radiator. I'm like, that's a radiator. It looks exactly like a radiator. And what that is on the underside there, that black piece right here that you mount the grill to, evidently you can sticker that on the front of that grill, on the front of that black piece, so you can see that radiator through the grill. Now I don't know if that's already on there from stock, from the stock MT like this or not, but I'm not even gonna put it on this one. Now if you had this OEM grill, it would do a whole lot more because you'd be able to see it, but you're not even gonna be able to see it on this. But I am curious to know if that sticker is actually on there already, kind of like some of these other ones, or if it is just a Bigfoot Kid exclusive thing that you can put on there. So that's just a quick rundown of where all these stickers are going to go, just in case some of y'all was out there wondering. Again, I'm going to do it off of camera just so I can make sure I get them nice and clean. All right, y'all, take a look at this good looking thing right here. That whole sticker and body kit really finished this thing off. It set it off big time. Check that out. I mean, that's a look right there, buddy. Got the old school carbs on the top. You can see I did put the little fuel line stickers on that side. the linkage stickers on that side. We got the windshield banner, the front stickers. I actually decided to put my license plate, my Bigfoot plate here on the front, so that way I've still got the TRX one on the back. So we got two different ones. Got the chassis stickers. One little complaint I've got about these chassis stickers, and something y'all should know just in case somebody's getting this sticker set, you got to take these screws out to get that sticker on, because the holes are only cut just the size of the hole in the chassis plate, so the head of the screw is bigger. And in that being said, when you put these screws back in and go to tighten them down, it kind of deforms it around the edge there, which is something I don't like. So I wish they would have cut the hole the size of the head of the screw instead of the shank of it. But no huge deal, and it definitely does not take away a bit of how cool this thing is. I mean, again, that's all I can say. Is just, it's incredibly cool. So all the suspension additions, all that blue stuff, all the shiny stuff, all the lights, it just looks really, really awesome to me. So we've definitely got it looking like a monster truck now. Hopefully these performance upgrades will make it perform like one. The only thing I'm really concerned about are these extended wheel hexes. They've got just such a little bit of thread grabbing. I actually went back and put some thread locker on them and really cranked them down. So hopefully that'll hold them. If not, I've got some smaller ones or some more narrow ones. I'll change those out. So we've been inside wrenching on it long enough. Let's take it outside and get us a speed check on it and have a little bit of fun. All right, y'all, we're back out here in the driveway. See how fast this thing's going now. I can tell you right now, I'm gonna have to put you on the tripod to do this test, because it's way faster. I mean, way, way faster. Just trying to get the steering trim straightened out here. This thing is super fast right now. So as you can see, I got my little speed meter mounted on 0 though, ready to roll. So let me put you on the tripod and let's see what it does. All right, I'm running it without any of the lights for this little speed test, just to make sure we get all our speed out of it. Shouldn't take much with them lights, but I mean, this thing's fast. I got to turn around and go uphill because I'm afraid I'm going to wreck it. It's got bad torque steer now. I mean, y'all seen it. It was two-wheeling up there. Oh, we got 10 on that, y'all. 10. I mean, it's got some wicked torque steer. Look at that. I mean, it lifts the front. Ooh, it wheelies on command, and it lifts the front wheel, front left from a roll. 11 mile an hour downhill. Check that out, y'all. 11 mile an hour downhill was 10 uphill, 11 downhill. For those of y'all who didn't watch the first part of this, we were at 4 mile an hour stock. I definitely want to get off this asphalt driveway ASAP, because as you can see, I mean, it's wheelies on command. I could flip this thing over if I wanted to, and I don't want to mess my body all up. Again, it ain't gonna be a safe queen or nothing like that, but I just rolled it over right there. Let's move it to the backyard. All right, y'all, let's see how this thing behaves out here in the dirt. I got a couple different camera angles and even got an onboard camera. I went and got me one of those little Insta360 Goes and got it mounted on the top, so y'all should be seeing onboard view flipping over. I can tell you one thing, this thing's got some serious torque steer to it. I mean, it lifts the front left tire off the ground if you nail it. I mean, it does some nice jumps now though. Now you're talking. This is what a monster truck's supposed to be. See, if I nail it, the problem is, I mean, it goes hard left, buddy, it goes. See if I can hit that ramp pretty fast. Oh, messed up. I mean, you can wheelie out here on dirt. It's slick, but you can still wheelie on command pretty much. If it wasn't so slick, it'd be flipping over backwards. I mean, I hadn't hit full throttle yet out here. See if I can hit it. There's full throttle. I mean, it was ripping down there. Plus with this track being loose, I mean, this thing's nice now. Hopefully I'll get some good onboard footage too, so to kind of figure out what my angle needs to be on this thing. The problem with this though is I can't stab the throttle. I mean, there it went. And then if I try to correct that torque steer, she's going over. I mean, it wants to roll right there, even with these extended hexes. And speaking of that, so far so good. There's a lot of bounce when I'm landing my jumps. I need to try to tune some of that bounce out. I got some stiffer springs, but that might be the wrong way to go. I mean, this little thing rolls now. One thing I kind of got thinking about now that it's just rolling on is, see, it landed great, but it's so bouncy, it flipped me on over. So I'm thinking maybe softer springs, a little bit softer springs, and even some softer shock oil to combat that. Y'all let me know down in the comments What do you think I can do to combat that bounce? Like, watch this right here. This will be a nice one. See, it landed that time, but it wasn't going fast enough to bounce it on over. But y'all saw it before. I mean, this thing is rolling now, y'all. I can't stab the throttle because it's so bouncy. I mean, that's supposed to be like that because of monster truck, so you can definitely have some nice monster truck fun with it. I mean, it's breaking the tires loose. This is like a whole different car, y'all. I mean, it went from 4 mile an hour top speed to 11. So you're talking about over 100% increase. Definitely well worth it. Now I'm gonna have to do me some more jumps and stuff. I figure I'll make me some tabletops. I might just go ahead and set up a little monster truck course in the middle there with some obstacles, and because I've got another monster truck I've got to unbox. I'll probably do that next week. This thing's nice now. I mean, look at that thing. If I could get that bounce down, this will be perfect now. So I'd have to say the mission was definitely accomplished right here. All right, maybe I'm just not on the throttle strong enough. Let me make one more lap and make one more last jump. Woo, she almost went over right there. I mean, this thing will do reverse wheelies too. It's got power on command with this brushless setup. Let's see if I get on the gas. Yeah, that's more like it. You gotta land on the gas, which is dangerous. Let's do one more lap and one more jump, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. I gotta get me a thumbnail before I destroy this body. I'm gonna try my best not to destroy this body. Here we go. All right, wide open on this one. I think that's the way to go with it, but I'm afraid about ripping some gears out or something with that. All right, y'all, I think I'm gonna call it right there for what was a very fun and very rewarding little Bigfoot project. This was an absolute night and day transformation. We went from 4 mile an hour top speed to 10 and 11 mile an hour wheelies on command, where before, I mean, it wouldn't wheelie unless you kicked it over with your foot. That's about the only way you was gonna get a wheelie. This thing wheelies on command, stoppies on command. I mean, the only thing I would really like is if somebody came out with some kind of open diff setup for this. That would make it absolutely perfect. One thing I do want to kind of tweak though, like I mentioned, is how bouncy it is. I like that it is realistically bouncy like a monster truck, so I may just leave it like that. I noticed there at the end I was kind of trying to be a baby it too much. I believe if I get on the gas more right before the landing, right at it, without stripping my gears out, I think I can handle it a little better. But either way, this whole setup turned what was, in my opinion, pretty meh into an awesome little mini monster truck. Hopefully I got some good footage with this little Insta360 Go. That's what this is. I picked it up. Absolutely tiny little thing, so it's perfect. It was definitely pricey, and I know it's got its limitations. I looked at some of the reviews. I've got plenty of other vlogging cameras, action cams, so this right here, if it's got decent footage, is going to be absolutely perfect for onboard RC. So let me know down in the comments what y'all think about the performance difference from starting until ending. What would you have done different? Do you think just seeing what you're seeing out here, what do you think I might need to change, make different? I'm really happy that these extended hexes are holding on good. Again, now I did thread lock them, so that probably didn't hurt anything, but glad to see it, because it's still, I mean, y'all see, if I get on the throttle, it's lifting that front tire like some kind of dirt track racer out here and wanting to flip itself over. If you did enjoy the video, reach down and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you got those notifications turned on so you get notified when I upload stuff. I'll try to leave as many links in the video description as I can to all the add-ons that I used here. I've got an Amazon affiliate storefront link. That's the only affiliate link I've got, so the rest of them won't be affiliate links, but if y'all get something from Amazon, I do get a kickback from them, so I really do appreciate that. Big thanks to every one of y'all for supporting the new channel. I really do appreciate that. Again, I've got another really cool monster truck I'm gonna do an unboxing on next week, and plenty more stuff on the way, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, y'all keep on having fun.